everybody. Welcome to the Extra Point Show. I'm your host, David Johnson.
And I'm your co-host, Nick Fain. Join us as we get into the recent NFL news this week.
And today we're talking about trimming that roster down. We're on the quest to 53 men for every single NFL team, all 32. We're vastly approaching August 24th, where rosters have to be trimmed down to 85 players to 80. And there were several notable cuts this week in the NFL. Some of those notables included running backs Alfred Morris, who was released from the New York Giants. Obviously,
which is kind of surprising.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, he
want,
was.
want to chime in and say, former Redskin.
Yeah, yeah, and he was also he filled in for the Niners back in 2018, I believe it was, for us for a little
Oh,
bit when we
really?
were
I
banged
didn't
up.
know that.
Yeah, yeah. So he's another one of those former Redskin Niner players. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising to see, like you said. But obviously, with
Yeah,
Saquon coming back from a knee injury, I think the Giants feel like they're going to be all right with the guys
that's
that they
true.
have.
I didn't think about that. That makes sense. It's also just funny, like not funny, but from the Giants, another NFC East team releasing him. It's like, man,
Yeah,
and
it's
they're I
like,
mean they're not like a great team, but I didn't think about Saquon Barkley. That's a good point.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. It's
I
probably why
wonder if he'll. I
they
wonder
did
if he'll
that.
make his rounds around all the NFC East teams. He's got to go to the Eagles next, right? He was a Cowboy at one point. I want to say.
Really?
I feel like he was. I'll have to verify that, but I'm pretty positive he
Hmm.
played there. He after his run with the Redskins, which was really good. He's kind of bounced around on a lot of 1 year deals.
Well, I wish him luck in the future. Hopefully he gets picked up somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd be very surprised if somebody doesn't pick him up in the coming weeks because everybody's going to be trimming that roster, and then with him being available, he's a big name running back. There's also Carrion Johnson, former high round draft pick of the Detroit Lions. They're moving on from him. Obviously, Dan Campbell likes DeAndre Swift as his primary running back. He's a
Wait,
super.
Carrion Johnson played for the Lions?
Yeah, Carrion Johnson was a second round draft pick of the Lions a few seasons back, and he's kind of like he started out playing a lot in his first 2 years, and then he's kind of like been reduced to like a situational running back. So it wasn't really a
Mm.
surprise that they released him. Um, but the Eagles picked him up, and they let him go. So they're going to be moving on with some different guys.
So he was when was the Eagles just picked? That's what I'm not following. He's with the Lions now, or he was with the Eagles,
He came in with the Lions, and then he signed with the Eagles in the off season,
and then they released him.
and
The
then they
Eagles
released
released
him.
him.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Okay, gotcha. And then we also had Lamar Miller for Washington. They released him.
yeah, yeah. It was. I don't know if I'd say it was super surprising with the running backs they have to see him out. I mean,
No.
he hasn't played football in about a year. I mean, he's a guy that in the past with Miami and Houston, he had done a lot of good things in the league. A couple times he's had
Mm-hmm.
1,000 yards in a season, but
Oh wow.
obviously they've got Gibson, who's definitely going to make the roster. You
McKissick.
you assume McKissick's definitely going to make the roster. They didn't play him at all in the preseason, which usually means they're saving him. Usually, if you're not sure if a guy's going to make a roster, you want to take a look at him. Um, Figure
Not
Peyton
sure about
Barber.
Peyton Barber.
Yeah, Peyton
Probably
Barber's
though.
kind of on the bubble. He's like their short yardage guy, but they might also see, you know, them be able to do a little bit of that with Jarrett Patterson. Although they might also keep four running backs. That's entirely possible as well. But
Oh, and don't forget about the biggest one, I guess, in some ways, Tim
yeah,
Tebow.
yeah, yeah.
Tebow's cut.
The failed experiment, which was Tim Tebow's conversion to tight end, when he hasn't
Yeah, that
played.
man, he's not a professional athlete. Like, I mean, at least not anymore. I mean, he hasn't, what was it, 9, 8 years,
Yeah,
something like
he
that?
last played in the NFL in 2012 with the Jets. So
Like,
it's
he tried to play baseball. He
yeah,
didn't he do well in that.
yeah.
And then he tries to come back and play football, 8 years later, over 8 years later, and as a different position. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
He
they obviously had to expect it not to probably work out.
right.
Like, They did it for publicity and maybe sell some jerseys,
That's what
which
I was
now
gonna
people
sell.
are
The
are
one thing
probably pissed off.
the one thing Tim Tebow does is he sells tickets, and that's what he did when he was in the
Yeah,
minor
and tickets.
league AAA system as well. Is
Hmm.
for the Mets is he sold tickets. Like he wasn't a superior athlete, and I mean he's done. He's really always going to be known for that playoff win when the Broncos got lucky in overtime and he hit that deep pass actually it was I believe it was Emmanuel Sanders back when he was with the Broncos
Oh
over
wow.
the over the middle for a long touchdown in overtime
Yeah.
to knock the Steelers out of the playoffs, and that was his best run. And then the Jets picked him up for a season and had him as a quarterback, and yeah, he really didn't do much besides that. He was pretty much a backup for them. So he was out of the NFL by 2012. And yeah, like his play as a tight end, like if you watched any of it, like he whiffed on a couple blocks, and it was
I
just bad.
actually don't remember seeing him playing.
Yeah,
I watched some of the Jags games, but I I wasn't even paying attention for him. I kind of forgot. Like I know it's a big deal for some people, but
yeah,
I think I was
yeah.
just paying attention to Trevor Lawrence mostly.
He completely missed a block on one play.
I
It was
didn't remember hearing his name at all really like during it. So
yeah,
obviously that
yeah.
tells you
He really
that's
didn't
probably why.
get targeted too much. I think the one time a ball was kind of thrown in his direction, it resulted in an interception. So it wasn't a good situation. But yeah, I mean there's also Joey Sly, the kicker for the Panthers, got released. The Panthers recently acquired Ryan Santoso from the Giants, who's going to be their kicker now for a late round draft pick. Um, so we'll see how that goes. Um, but Joey Sly was their kicker for the last two seasons. He missed a few extra points in the preseason, and it cost him his job. The Panthers traded for another kicker.
Well, some teams seem to take that kicking in as seriously. If they lose some consistency, they actually want to maybe get some competition in there. But then you got people like Dustin Hopkins who are under league average and somehow continue to have a job and be unchallenged. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just
I'm
odd.
kind of surprised at no point, like, there was any competition for him. Um, I mean,
Yeah, even the Ravens have.
yeah,
So I don't know his name, but they have Justin Tucker, and he is the best kicker in the league, hands down.
yeah,
And they had a kicker, backup kicker, kick in that game.
yeah. I
Washington.
saw that. I saw that. I can't think of what his name was, but it was
I can't remember.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like even they're doing that. Like, come on, man. Like kicker's not that hard to obtain. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, maybe when the rosters trim out, maybe they'll pick somebody up that clears waivers. We'll have to see. And
one thing that I didn't realize is
yeah,
how many players get cut. Like 864 players. That's just, I never realized it's how many people it is that
yeah, yeah.
don't make a team. And it's like, wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of dreams that get crushed, and that's going to happen on the cut down deadline of August 31st. All the rosters have to be trimmed down to 53 players, and a lot of players are going to lose their jobs. That's a really unfortunate thing. Um,
Well, that's in 2 days, so we'll know here. Probably gonna know tomorrow, or yeah, well, no, we'll probably know on Tuesday. They wait for the deadline to announce
yeah,
everything,
I
right?
mean you'll start to probably see a trickle. I'm sure some teams will
Okay.
probably have the majority of them released tomorrow, but some teams are going to be more strategic and wait till the last minute. They're also going to be checking to see who clears waivers in other places to pick them up, because
Mhm.
after the so the 31st is when you have to trim it down, and then by the 1st of September, you have to pick your 16-man practice squad, and that can be guys that you pick up on other that have been released from other teams as
Wait,
well.
the 1st of September, you said?
Yeah. So the
So like
day at
the next
yeah
day?
the next day. So a lot of the guys that get released actually get brought back. So you'll be like, oh
I
man,
see.
so like you might see Jarrett Patterson get cut and be like, oh man, that sucks. And then like he might be brought back the next day on the squad. Same with
Right,
like
right.
maybe
I mean, I
Montez.
assume if he does get cut, that probably will happen. I think there's a good
I
chance he'll
think he
make the
makes the
team, but
roster personally. I think he's done enough.
yeah, I think there's a good chance.
Yeah.
But if yeah, because he wasn't playing with any starters today, like at all. It was all, I think
He's
they
he's
started with
no
the third
he's no
string basically.
Ramondre Stevenson over there for Bill, running for like 2 touchdowns and 200 yards a game. But I mean, he's had a good preseason. If Ramondre Stevenson doesn't make the Patriots, and
Oh well, Bill. That's going to be a surprising move, but you never know with Bill.
well,
He's like, nah, fuck him.
yeah. Well, we're gonna get into this a little bit more when we talk about the divisions, but the Rams actually just traded for Sony Michel, the Patriots' former starting running back. So I was actually the Rams didn't really have like a super good running game coming into there because their primary their starting halfback got injured and he's gonna probably miss the season. But then they acquired Sony Michel, so they're probably going to have a pretty good run game after all to pair with Matthew Stafford, which
Yeah.
we'll get in more into that here in a little bit. But yeah, 864 players will be cut soon, and a lot of dreams getting ended
Getting
unfortunately.
killed.
But a lot of them will get picked up somewhere else, so the dream can continue. And of course, injuries happen, and then a lot of these guys get calls later.
Well,
The
the
season.
large majority of them can't get picked up anywhere else because they all have their roster set. I mean, they might get picked up on later in the year, but the large majority of these people probably won't be on a team.
More than likely. I mean, unless you had what happened to us happen to your team last year when you have to call like 300 players off the street to come dress for you.
Yeah, same with us. When we had to call Taylor Heineke out of math class, it's like, hey, bro, like.
Yeah, get them where you can. Get them where you can. And speaking of injuries and good news, I'm sure Colts fans will rejoice as it was announced this past Monday that Carson Wentz is returning to practice in a limited capacity. This return definitely puts him closer to the 5 week prognosis for return rather than the 12 week, which was estimated. He was given a 5 to 12 week return period.
I'm pretty surprised, honestly, that he's going to be back that early. I mean, if it's a 5 to 12 week potential recovery, I feel like it's better to go and be on the safe side. I mean, you obviously want him to be in there week 1, but giving him an little bit of extra time, 1 or 2 games even, just to make sure, because that can get re-aggravated just like that if it's not fully healed. And didn't he have surgery on it?
I believe it was a minor surgery, but it was an injury to his foot, so I think it was something that was able to heal up, and he got the surgery pretty quick in the process.
Yeah,
but
I was surprised. I was really surprised to see that when I remember seeing the headline. I was like, wow, he's going to play week 1. I did not expect that.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that has to do with the fact that Sam Ellinger, the backup, struggled in the preseason for the Colts, and the fact that they don't have Jacoby Brissett anymore because he went to Miami to be Tua's backup. But I mean, yeah, I guess Frank Reich and the Colts are a good team. The Colts are a team that, with Phillip Rivers as the starter last year, got into the first round of the AFC playoffs. So, with good quarterback play from Carson Wentz, they're a playoff team. They've got, one of my favorite guys, DeForest Buckner, on that defensive line. They've got a good team. They've got a good team over there. And also good news for whoever's playing quarterback. It looks like it's going to be Carson Wentz. He's getting his center and one of his and his top tackle, Quentin Nelson, back. They also returned to practice on Monday, so that's really going to be a good thing.
Good for them.
So in big trade news this week, the Jacksonville Jaguars sent former second-round draft pick Gardner Minshew to the Philadelphia Eagles for a conditional 2022 draft pick, which is expected to be in the 6th round. Although if Minshew plays in if he plays 50% or 50% or more of the snaps in 3 or more games, that pick could become a 5th round pick. And who knows if that's going to happen? But that's it's an interesting pickup. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's a good value, I would say, for them, because I mean that's almost nothing. I mean, it's not nothing, but very little. And he seems like he's a competent enough quarterback. I'm surprised he's going to be like the number 3. Someone like him, I at least think he'd be back up. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it probably will end up being a sixth round pick because where he's projected to be in the depth chart is obviously Jalen Hurts is the starter in Philadelphia. Joe Flacco was acquired in the offseason to be the backup, veteran backup. And Minshew's projected to come in as the third string quarterback. The Eagles, in a corresponding move, they let go of their current third stringer, former Niner favorite Nick Mullins. Was real happy to see him go. Uh, the international pick machine, Nick Mullins. Um, but yeah, I mean Gardner is an interesting guy. I mean he had a lot of hype coming around as a rookie. I mean he really did some good things on a bad team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I think he came in 2019 and he started 12 games. He was 6-6 as a starter. He started 8 games for him last year, and then they wanted to get a look at I think it was if I'm correct, I want to say maybe Mike Glennon and Luton. Jake Luton. Yeah, those were the two guys that they took a look at. But the Jaguars were 1-15 last year, which is why they got Trevor Lawrence. So it was
God.
just whoever was playing back there was going to look good, or I mean look bad. But he threw 21 touchdown passes as a rookie. So and won 6 games. Those were all Jacksonville rookie records that he set. So
Mm.
it really looked like he was going to be the guy. And then and actually I think I said he was a second round pick earlier. I think he was actually later than that. I want to say actually maybe he was more like a sixth round pick. So
Yeah, I feel like he's a later round pick. I don't really know for sure,
yeah,
but I feel like it's something like 4 or higher maybe.
yeah, it was definitely it had to have been later than that. But yeah, I mean we'll see what happens. I know that you were telling me earlier that a lot of Redskins fans were potentially interested
Oh yeah,
in
right. I've
acquiring
noticed that
him.
on some of the posts online. People are like, "Oh man, we should have picked up Minshew instead of Fitzpatrick." And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got a higher upside. Fitzpatrick does than Minshew. He's definitely got more starting experience, and yeah, he was a sixth round pick. I definitely gave him way more value, saying he was a second round pick. But I was like, he was later than that because it was super impressive when he earned the starting job back in 2019 when he was a rookie because he really came out
Right.
of nowhere. People started like doing the headbands saying that he was like baby Baker Mayfield.
It's also weird when people say that, like comparing him to Fitzpatrick. It's like that's like two totally different things. He's not a rookie, but a very young quarterback,
He
So
is.
it's like to say, oh, we should have gotten him over. It's like that's totally different. I mean, his Minshew is not like great. Like he had some good starts in Jacksonville, but obviously, they released him, so he hasn't been that great. So
Yeah.
it's like if you're gonna take somebody that young, they have to have that potential ability to make it worth it. Fitzpatrick is what he is, but like he is a veteran, he has the knowledge and that locker room presence and other aspects that you get that you might not get from somebody like him.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's something that Gardner being in the NFL for 2 seasons. I mean, he's liked by his teammates, but I don't think he's necessarily the locker room leader that Fitzpatrick is. I mean, everybody on Washington seems to like Fitzpatrick.
Right. Everybody on like I think every team
Yeah,
usually likes
everybody
him.
everybody on any roster that's ever played with him, I'm sure likes that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
He
oh,
look.
Fitz threw 3 interceptions tonight, but man, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, probably threw 3 touchdowns too, given how
probably
his
that's true.
the
Yeah.
gunsling. You know, I mean, the guy that leads the NFL, or at one point led the NFL in touchdowns, also led the NFL in picks. And this is
Wasn't it
before
Jameis Winston?
it,
Didn't he have that 31-31 season?
that was in one. I'm talking about like overall, like for a career.
Oh,
That
okay.
was Brett Favre, and he had that same gunslinger mentality. He's just gonna throw it down the field and see what happens.
Hmm.
And that's how those gunslingers are. You know, they like to throw deep and they like to take chances.
Yeah.
But what I want to get into next is kind of what we're thinking for the divisions this upcoming season. What are your thoughts for the NFC West or I'm sorry, the NFC East and how that's looking?
Well, I mean, based off of last year, I mean, no one in the East is expected to do that well. I mean, being a Washington fan, I guess I'm somewhat biased, and I admit that. But even if I wasn't, and I tried to look at it in a sense where like, okay, just looking at the way the teams change and the additions that they put on, they do look like the best team in that division possibly, in my opinion. But that also depends how it translates to the field. The Cowboys, if Dak Prescott's healthy, they can be a threat, but it depends really because sometimes he does well, but then if the rest of the team doesn't, like, their defense is just so bad. So even if
Yeah,
Dak is able to put up some points and make stuff happen, they were 1-3 last season when he started. So it's like, people overhype the Cowboys, overhype all of that so much. Oh, they'll make the playoffs this season. Every
yeah.
Cowboys fan ever is always saying they're going to the Super Bowl. Like every season, it's
They
like, come on, guys.
they always
But
throw it out there.
yeah, every all the time. It's just like, come on, you guys. Like,
I guess you can't get
be
in if you don't
realistic.
believe, you know.
I guess, man, but it's like, that you got to have like a certain level of realism on your outlook. I appreciate the optimism and all, but come on, guys, it just gets annoying. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think that they're going to be that big of a threat. I think if it's like last year, we'll beat them this time. The Eagles, as I mean, I don't even really need to talk about the Eagles. Like, I just,
Yeah.
they're probably going to be, they're going to have a terrible season. I think I would imagine them having like a 3-14 season or
Do you
something. So,
think that the
I,
Eagles potentially finish as the worst team in the league this year?
um, it is possible because the Jets and the Jags now have improved. So they're not gonna have a one game season like,
Yeah.
or two. The Jets had two and then the Jags had one, right?
Right.
So the Jets have three, two.
The
Okay.
Jets the Jets
Yeah, I
have
don't
two.
think that'll happen again. I think that they're at least gonna win some more games than that. So if the Eagles really do that badly and they only win something like 3 games or even maybe 2 games, yeah, they very well could be. And unless Jalen Hurts comes out and starts to be spectacular, but that doesn't seem likely. So
Yeah, I
I'd
mean,
say the biggest threat is oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that could be a way that if they struggle down the stretch, that could be a way that Minshew gets into those games
Yeah,
because
that's true.
there's usually two reasons that should go down your quarterback depth chart in the NFL: injury, or you're just too damn bad, and you're just like, this guy's not working. It's like, let's try Flacco. Flacco's not working. Let's try Minshew. It's like, and hell,
Yeah.
if Minshew doesn't work, maybe they bring back Mullins.
No,
I
I
was
knew you were
like,
gonna say that. Like,
I was like,
no, they're not doing
you
that.
need warm bodies out there at some point. Like that's how
I
we
was
were
surprised
last
anybody
season.
picked him up. Like, see, and it was really funny when it was the Eagles, like the one of the worst teams now in the league,
Oh
picked him
yeah,
up.
go
That
throw.
was just
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Like,
go
and in
throw.
the NFC East.
Nick Sirianni saw enough. He saw enough. He probably saw because in his last preseason game he looked pretty good. He was like 8 out of 10, but he had looked terrible to that point. Like I think his first two preseason games doomed him. And then they saw that they could
Yeah,
get Minshew, and then they're like, all right, you're out the door. Nicky Mullins is out
yeah.
the door. But I'm
So,
with you.
and yeah, and
Go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna just say
Finish, finish your
I'm
thought.
with you on thinking that they have the most impressive team. Washington, that
Who?
is. Washington.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say last, because I didn't mention the Giants yet. I would say they would probably be the biggest threat, especially because they did beat us both times last season, which is so irritating. I remember I'm on one of those games like we should have won. I think it was a missed kick. I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
want
sure
to say it was
Dustin
a missed
Hopkins
field
missed the
goal.
kick. Yeah, and that was infuriating. But both of them were very close. But I think we're going to be a lot better than last year.
Yeah.
But I think that will be the biggest threat. But I think, bias aside, if I just was, looking at all the teams, I would think Washington has the best chance.
Yeah. And I would agree with you from like, And I like Washington, but I'd of course agree with you from like kind of an outsider's perspective, just
Yeah,
looking
you can have
at,
more of
at,
an
at what they,
outsider's
at what
perspective,
they've
and
done. I mean, so the defense was already stacked, and they go and add Jamin Davis, who I think with coaching and like he got better in each of the preseason games.
yeah, he
So
did.
yeah, so that was encouraging. He didn't look that great in the first one, but over the second and third game, he definitely played faster and played better. Um, so they add him to an already good defense, and the offense gets faster. They get Curtis Samuel. You get Antonio Gibson, who's got another training camp in there as a running back, which wasn't his natural position. I mean, he had a great
Right.
first year to begin with. They add Adam Humphries to play the slot. They add Fitz, who's he's a wild man out there. They got Taylor if they want to mix him in and do some stuff like
And
Kyle's
I
trying to
like
do.
what I've seen from him in that
Yeah,
preseason. Like
yeah, he's looked
he's
good. At one
yeah
point, he completed 11 straight passes in a preseason game. I was like, this is looking good.
yeah. I mean, I think he could potentially. I know Fitz is going to start, but if Fitz goes Fitz tragic, I know that Heineke is going in.
Yeah,
Like
and yeah,
so, I
it's
hope
good.
that doesn't happen, but
It's not a bad problem to have two good
right.
quarterbacks. That's what
Yeah,
we're
like
dealing with
I'm
lately.
comfortable really with either one, but
Yeah,
I feel like Fitz could be better if he plays to his highest potential. But Heineke also is like more of an unknown. It seems like he's developing. Like I know he's been in the league for some time, but I don't know. It's just for him to do what he's doing. It seems odd that he has never really had a chance somewhere. But maybe he just never got the chance. And
I
there's
could
always
see
somebody
him
better. And
if because Fitz is on a 1 year deal. I could see him if he
right,
stays as the number two for this season,
mm-hmm.
him sticking around. And when Fitz contract expires, them like sending Fitz on the road, and then naming Heineke the starter after he's had another year of practice in the offense. I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that if he progresses in a way where Ron's comfortable with it and sees that he's good enough to do that, then yeah. I mean, I think that there's a good chance they might try and draft somebody next in the next draft, but that's so far away. I'm not even gonna comment on that. I saw a mock
Yeah.
draft the other day. Oh my god,
Oh,
I
already.
wanted I wanted to shoot
Mock
myself in the
drafting
head.
in August
I was
before
like
in the
I
preseason.
was like, what am I
Yeah,
seeing right now?
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
couldn't believe that.
Speculation running wild. Oh man, but yeah, I mean,
Didn't the Giants also pick up get some good stuff in the free agency
they
too?
did,
I feel
they
like
did.
they improve also quite a bit. That
Yeah,
was another, I forgot to mention that was part of my point of why I think they're bigger. I can't remember the names, but I know that
Kenny
they picked up
Galladay.
some
They
stuff.
got they got
Kenny
Kyle
Galladay, that's one
they
of them.
got Kyle Rudolph, the tight end from
Kyle
Minnesota.
Rudolph, that's it. That's
Yeah,
it. Those two, yeah.
yeah. So they're gonna have him and Evan Ingram. So I'm sure they're gonna try to do the two tight end set a
Yeah.
lot more. Joe Judge is a Patriots assistant, so he loves all things Bill. All those Bill assistants, they always leave Bill, and then they always try to like Patriot way that stuff, and it never works. The only person that
Right.
I mean, we'll see if it works for Bill this year, but maybe it was the Tom way. We'll see. But I think the Patriots can be
He's
good
got
again.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, he loves Mac Jones, Mac Horton
Yes,
Jones.
finally another Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Gridiron Heights. If you haven't seen it, folks, check it out. That's
Oh
that's
yeah, it's one of the
that's
best.
worth the
This is
price
like
of admission.
a free plug here, like because
Yeah,
we get nothing for mentioning it, obviously.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, great, hilarious show about football and all the players. Oh my
Absolutely.
god, it's the
Yeah,
best thing ever.
they
If you haven't seen it, you're gonna love it. If you love football, you're just gonna love it because
yeah they clown on just about everybody and everything in
it's
there.
amazing. It's amazing.
But I'm
And the
I'm with
rookies with the baby voices.
yeah, that's true. But I agree with you. I think that Washington followed by New York probably are the best teams. I think that Philadelphia, just based on the fact that they're actually in a rebuild, is I mean the only reason the Eagles were as close as in the division race as they were is because the difference between the
Yeah,
first team and the
the
last team
division
was
was all
four and seven
terrible.
games. It was 3 games,
Yeah,
3 game difference. But yeah, I mean I think that New York wins more games this year. I think Dallas wins more games this year, and I think Washington wins more games this year. I still think that Washington, followed by, I think that it's going to probably be, and this is, we haven't played one game yet, but I think it's probably going to
yeah,
be
it'd be
Washington.
easier after one or two
Yeah,
games.
yeah.
Yeah,
My prediction is Washington, New York, Dallas, Philadelphia. But
same here.
if that Dallas's defense
But
has to be
yeah,
better. It has to.
Yeah, it depends. If Dallas, that's the thing. Like, because we have to see a real game. Like, if
Right.
when week one, if I can at least see them all play once,
Yeah.
then I make like a better assessment of how they do and
Oh
how
yeah.
we do and all
Yeah,
that. But
we're just bullshitting out our asses for
yeah,
the
we're just
viewers
like, this
right
is
now.
what we
We're
think
just
as of
giving you
now.
guys content. Yeah. So absolutely. And this could all
Oh
go to
yeah, and then
shit.
so later you can just be like, hey, you were fucking totally wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you guys, if I'm wrong and the fucking damn Cowboys win, then I guess you guys can come back and talk shit. But I, if the Cowboys are good and they win the division, they're gonna have to rely. And the defense, it has to be better because they were
It
32nd.
can't,
So
yeah,
there's yeah,
can't
it
get any
can't
worse.
get
So
worse. And I
I
mean
mean, it could be
with
just as bad, I guess.
yeah, with Dak and like, cause he's got three good receivers. He's got Amari Cooper, he's got Michael Gallup, and he's got C.D. Lamb. Plus he's got Zeke. I mean, the one good thing that I think they got Blake Jarwin as their tight end. I'd say the one, and they've got a good offensive line. So the one kind of weak spot on their offense is kind of tight end. Um, but they've got a good offense. Defense, they improved at safety and linebacker. So we'll see what happens there. But
Yeah, they'll be a little better on defense, but I think it's still going to be a pretty, it's not going to
yeah,
be good. It's going to be their weakness for sure. And if they in their offense, I don't think it's strong enough to win them enough to get them enough points and win them enough games alone. So that's
yeah.
why I think they're going to be third in the division.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, Joe Judge is, teaching the Giants to play disciplined football. They're improving the offense. And Daniel Jones, I mean, say what you will, the guy fumbles a lot, but I don't think he's a bad QB. I mean,
No, he is good. I honestly, I remember there was times where I was jealous. I'm like, man, we could have had Daniel
yeah,
Jones. Like,
yeah.
but that fumble when
DJ's
he got
pretty good.
tackled by a
Yeah,
ghost was like
that was
really
funny.
embarrassing. I
That
imagine
was
for
funny.
like because I still
Poor
laugh
guy.
about that. That was the
Poor guy.
funniest thing. Was like,
Yeah,
and then his answer was like, oh, I tried to run too fast, too hard. I was like,
yeah,
you had like 20 yards of separation. Why why on earth were you like running for your life? Like,
yeah. You could
oh
probably have,
man.
turned off the Jets a little bit on that one, but yeah,
Yeah, dude, you
yeah.
could have just coasted in. Like, that's just so funny. I guess his rookie season now, right? So he's probably like,
No,
that
it
was
was
his
his
rookie
second
season?
year. It
Was
was
it
his
his
second.
second
Yeah, it
season?
was. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because his first year he like split time with Eli.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I
Yeah,
forgot about. So this is his
yeah.
first like full season
First full season as the man. Yeah.
until he got hurt. Did he get hurt? Or am I
Um,
making that up? Why do I think that?
I think yes, because he did because Colt McCoy came in.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. Okay. All right. For some reason I wasn't sure if that
I
was
remember. I'm like the NFL Oracle. I'm like, wait a
right.
minute, Colt McCoy.
Rimba.
Colt McCoy. Yeah, exactly. Simba.
Colt McCoy, who now plays for. Oh, I know it. I know it. I know it. It's not the Cardinals. Is it?
Oh, yes, it absolutely is. But no,
Is it? Oh, I
yeah,
was right. I always second guess myself.
yeah.
I'm like,
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just go with it. I never do. That's why I was like, Gardner Minshew's a second round pick. He's not. He's a
he's
sixth
not.
round pick. But I mean, you just throw it out there confidently, and maybe who knows. But yeah, so let's talk about the West now. That's shaping up to be hopefully for the second straight year. Well, not hopefully, but it's shaping up to be for the second straight year potentially the
I will
toughest
say
division.
before you get into it, the
Yeah,
West is a bit more of a like it's obviously a better division, but it's like it's a little more difficult to predict in my
right,
opinion, like or like what to expect because
right,
all of the teams have potential. So
right. Yeah, I mean theoretically, all four teams in the West could make the playoffs.
right,
Absolutely. There's just so much talent on each team, and I think that when you really look at who the coaches are in the West, okay, so you've got Kyle Shanahan, you've got
Cliff
Sean,
Kingsbury,
you've got yeah Cliff, you've got Sean McVay, who are
Sean
three of the
McVay,
brightest offensive minds in football, and then you've got just Pete Carroll, who's just a crafty
Pete
bitch.
Carroll,
Yeah, 68-year-old Pete Carroll. It's like he's still alive and kicking somehow. Like, ugh.
smacking that gum.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day that like Pete just retires and goes away, and maybe the
Yeah,
Seahawks
it's like
aren't good
hallelujah,
anymore.
he's gone.
Yeah, because he's been ever since he's been there, he's been good with them. Like seriously,
Yeah,
it's been a rough go. Through our Harbaugh run and our good 2019 run, they've always been good. They've always been good, but
yeah.
I don't know. Somehow, and this is what I wanted to get into, I feel like this could be their downfall. I'm not saying Seattle is going to come out and have a 6-win season, but I could entirely see Seattle finishing last place in the division. I could also see the West sending 4 teams to the playoffs in a crazy ass
Wait,
situation.
is that even possible
Yeah,
now? Is that
yeah,
possible?
absolutely. Yeah, with
Because the
well,
new rules,
actually,
isn't it?
with the expanded, I don't think they're doing the expanded wild card this year, are they? So, maybe not. But
Okay, so
three
maybe
of them
not.
technically
That's
would
so
have been.
crazy.
Yeah,
If 4 teams, that's crazy.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I guess
Yeah,
they're all
with
good
as
enough.
talented as West is. I mean, I think that's are going to be a team to watch. I mean, they've always been good in the West. Sometimes their number more than, but scheme up well. That's not to say that the Rams aren't a good team, because whenever I watch them play anybody else, they usually kick the shit out of them and dominate them because they play good football. And it doesn't
Yeah,
hurt when you have Aaron Donald, who for an interior lineman usually gets like 15 to 20 sacks a season, which is unheard of. But
yeah. Well, and the Rams have Stafford now, right?
yeah, yeah, they got
Oh,
Stafford.
yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but they could easily be
You
the
think the
best
Rams
team
are the
in
team to
that
beat?
division.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I could.
mean, I don't want to say it, but I mean, the Niners healthy, yes, I mean, they could, they're both, I'd say they're both probably equal. Like a healthy Niners, like yeah, but yeah, they're the team to beat. With Matt Stafford now instead of Jared Goff, that is definitely, I think it's going to be, the Niners and the Rams more than anything. I mean, the Cardinals and the Seahawks obviously are both good teams, but yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, and I mean that's the like you said, it's hard to predict, especially in. I feel like the West is the hardest division
Yeah,
to pick in football. Obviously, the
it is
AFC
hard.
West,
It's
like
hard.
you figure the Chiefs are taking that one. You know
Right.
the AFC South, probably going to be the Titans, maybe the Colts. Depending on like how
Yeah.
Carson Wentz looks, but like a lot of that stuff's like predetermined. Like the West is really it's a
And then the
crapshoot, man.
AFC North will probably be the Packers, right?
You mean the
That's the
NFC
AFC
North?
North.
Yeah, 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 NFC North.
NFC North.
But
Sorry,
yeah,
that's what I
I
meant.
got what you meant though. You were right though. But yeah, more than likely, I mean, hey, unless the Chicago's graced with the miracle of Justin Fields, you know,
Yeah,
you could
maybe,
go
maybe.
off, could go off. But yeah, I mean, I could see how you're saying that. Here's why I think that the Rams might struggle. Okay, and I touched on this a little bit earlier. The Rams' top running back, uh, Daryl Henderson, I believe is his name, went down with a knee injury. He's out for the season. And I was like, okay, well, the Rams aren't going to
Oh,
have a running game.
mm,
And then, as I just mentioned earlier, they acquired Sony Michel from the Patriots. And I was like,
okay.
shit. Okay, so he's a
Yeah,
pretty good
shit.
running back. So I was like, the one kind of like weakness that they had on, I was like, well, they can't run the ball. Maybe we'll make them one dimensional.
I
Like
was gonna say if you hadn't finished, I was like they'll probably pick somebody up, and then there you go.
sons of
But that's
bitches.
what they did.
Sons of bitches. And they got a good one too. They
Yeah.
didn't wait for like the
Uh,
teams to cut everybody. They actually went out and traded a pick
hmm
for Sony Michel from the Patriots, which
Yeah, that's not good. That is
yeah.
not good.
Yeah, he's a former Super Bowl winning running back. Like we don't need that. We don't need
No,
that at all.
that's terrible. Yeah, they are. That's definitely gonna be the team to beat then. I
Yeah,
would
I
say.
mean, I'm hoping that some of those Detroit habits don't didn't leave Matt Stafford too far. But yeah, you're
Yeah,
you're, you're probably
that's
right.
gonna be scary. Yeah, Matt Stafford with that's gonna be scary. It's gonna be shitty.
Yeah,
But I mean, with the Niners now, with Lance and Jimmy is a good quarterback. So
yeah.
and with the healthy roster around him, they can easily beat them. I mean, not
Yeah,
easily, but
yeah,
they can definitely
and and
beat them.
and
It's
we
not like
swept
it's
we
that
swept them last season and the season before that even. So I mean, in the last 2 years, Kyle's 4-0 against McVay. So I
Oh
mean,
wait, you swept them last season when they were 6-10, both games.
yeah, yeah,
Damn.
yeah,
I mean, I remember I watched them, but I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember
So
offhand. But
two of our 6 wins were
wow,
against the Rams.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
So maybe not then. I mean, it just
yeah.
seems like there's something there, unless Stafford just changes it
Actually,
entirely.
if I think I want to say 3 of our 6 wins were in the division. We took the Cardinals once too. So I mean, with a banged
I
up
think you're right.
roster, and we almost beat Seattle with Nick Mullins at the end, or no, with CJ at the end of the season. We almost beat him with CJ. But yeah, so I mean, the one thing that we have on the Rams, and I'd say probably any team in the West, is the depth. And John have been building this team since 2017 to have depth. And the fact is, like you said, we were a 6-10 team last year with our third stringers are basically a 6-10 team. Our third stringers
Yeah.
are basically, a lot of teams in in the East, bud. You know, like
Well, it
that's
was a mix of like probably first, second, and third,
yeah,
but
of course, but yeah, for the most
but
part,
I get your point. I get your
yeah,
point. But like the team where it's made up of largely backups is still better than like a
yeah, yeah,
50%
and that's
team.
that's encouraging. And I know that the Rams don't have that depth, especially at running back. They have one good running back now.
Yeah, if he gets hurt though,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
wish injury on anybody,
yeah.
but
No,
if he gets hurt,
I don't want him to get hurt. I just,
yeah,
I basically just would like for the offensive line to fail to open holes. Like that's all I'm. No, nobody needs to get hurt, because that's not sportsman like at all. But yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
if the offensive line seems to struggle against D Ford and Nick Bosa, and they probably will, because who won't? You know, everybody that has that assignment's gonna have a rough day.
right.
You know what John Lynch said today? Like it was a badass quote. It's a total John Lynch quote. They're like, John, do you worry about the health of your defensive line? And John's like, I do. He's like, I worry about the health of the quarterbacks that have to play them. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, oh man. I was like, yeah.
Damn, savage.
Armstead, Kinlaw, fucking Ford, Nick Bosa coming back.
Hell
Plus, you
yeah,
get you
that'd
get
be great.
Samson Ibukim in there, who's going to be like a situational pass rusher. He was always good for the Rams. We took him off the Rams. That was a big pickup. One of the few.
Did we want to cover any of the other divisions?
Yeah, yeah. I was going to get into the Cardinals actually, because that was one of the things that I think the Cardinals personally, and I know you think the Rams, but I think the Cardinals are going to be really good. I think that they could give us a run for our money.
I forgot about the Cardinals. We didn't mention them.
Yeah, yeah. No, and Kyler Murray coming into his third season, I think he's going to be really good. I mean, he's shown a lot of
Yeah.
potential, but he's also been a guy that's made like a lot of, like young player mistakes as well. Where
Hmm.
maybe taking a sack on a play where you should have just gotten rid of the ball, or throwing the ball into,
Right.
double or triple coverage, resulting in a pick, which has helped us in certain games. But yeah, I mean, I think he's going to take the next step. I mean, Kingsbury's a good coach. They've got they picked up James Conner from the Steelers to add with who's the other running back that they have? Uh,
I
Drake,
don't know.
Kenyon Drake.
Oh, Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
It just took me a second. So they're going to have an improved running game. Plus, Kyler can run the ball. Uh,
Yeah.
Larry did not return, though. For the first time in a long time,
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald did not return. But they do have DeAndre Hopkins, who might be the best receiver in the game. They've got um, they have Andy Isabella, who's like a speedster receiver, and they've got who's the other guy? Why can't I think of it? They've got another decent receiver that it's just escaping me right now. It'll come to me at some point.
I feel like the whole division is very stacked, but
Yeah.
the Colts seem like maybe I don't know, of the least stacked of them all, I guess.
Well, you got to realize they also brought in J.J. Watt on that defense. So the defense
Oh
is,
God, I
yeah,
forgot
yeah,
about
yeah. You
that.
forgot
Oh
about J.J.
Jesus.
That's why I'm saying I think that the Cardinals could be, as
Mm,
disruptive as
that
it. They
doesn't
got
help.
J.J. Watt plus Chandler Jones, who had 19 sacks a couple seasons ago.
Man,
So
that's going to be an
yeah,
insane division
yeah.
battle. Oh
That's
my
why
God.
that's why we pay Trent Williams $138 million, because we gotta keep that ankle and Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey and the combination upright. But yeah, I think the Cardinals are gonna surprise some people. I think the Cardinals are gonna give us a run for our money. We always, for some reason, struggle against a mobile quarterback, which is why I think that we'll have less of a hard time against Stafford. Because Stafford, we're gonna keep in the pocket, and
Right.
a quarterback in the pocket against the Niners defense is a dangerous game if you want to stay in the
So
pocket.
do we want to just for shits and giggles make a prediction of how it will go? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously we'll both want to say Niners number one, but
yeah. I mean, I
it's
honestly, and
it's
I'm
so
not,
hard to pick them
yeah,
in
and I'm
order.
not being biased. I literally think that if the injuries didn't happen last year, we were on track to have a good season. I mean, we literally
Yeah,
from game
definitely.
two started getting wrecked. So I mean, right off the
Yeah.
bat, we were pretty ravaged with injuries. So I mean, we didn't have like a 4 game stretch of games where we got to play good. Jimmy got banged up in game 2 against the Jets, and it just went downhill from there. Bosa we lost game 2. Solomon Thomas we lost game 2.
Yeah.
Kittle only played in 8 games. So I think that and we were just 1 year off the Super Bowl, and we
Right.
had the
I was
same
gonna
roster.
say if they play like that year, then
Yeah,
yes, I think they
yeah.
should definitely be number one, and then probably followed by the Rams, and then Jesus Christ.
Seattle.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Seattle third and Cardinals fourth would be my
yeah.
guess. I think.
I'm going out of left field, and this is recorded. If it's right or wrong, we can come back to this. But I'm gonna go Niners, Cardinals, Rams, and Seahawks.
Seattle lost.
I think Seattle will fall.
Seattle last. Wow.
I think
okay.
Seattle will, and keep in mind that Seattle could still have an 8-8, 9-7 season and finish in last place. And I think that's entirely likely. I just think that they had a rough offseason. There was a lot of stuff behind closed doors about like the relationship with Pete and Russ, and apparently that's okay now.
Really?
But is that really ever okay? You got to think like with the Aaron Rodgers situation, it's like it's okay, but is it really okay?
Well, it also depends on how much that actually affects like playing. Like maybe there's like relationship issues and stuff like that, but if that doesn't necessarily translate to on the field problems, then it doesn't matter really. Like not to everyone watching, they still win games. If just because they might not get along the best,
right,
no one gives a shit if they're still winning.
You're right. Absolutely. Yeah, you're 100% right. And they still, Russell Wilson's been doing it, without a lot of help for a lot of years, and they have DK Metcalf, so they've got Tyler Lockett. They've got good players over there. So
I just don't see them dropping off. But it would be nice because they've been good for so long. So to see them be last, I would trust me. I'd be happy to see. But
they've been on a run for going on 10 seasons here under Pete. So
yeah, so I just don't see that really ending. But I think they could maybe even be second. But I think the Rams are strong.
And that's what makes it a difficult division to predict is because like it literally could.
I know. Yeah, we're just taking stabs in the dark.
We could end up being last. I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't think so. But yeah, exactly. With this division is insane and stacked.
It's insane.
Yeah.
That.
I wish we could transfer to the NFC East.
No, I don't. Fuck that.
Yeah, no,
that'd be bad. Then
I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to do that to Washington. I wouldn't want to do that. That's sad.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, I'll let you guys keep beating up that Cowboy ass. I like to watch that on Sundays.
Right. So do you want to do just run through the other divisions? Quick.
Yeah.
Quicker.
Yeah, we can do that. So the NFC North, which is the Packers, Lions, Bears, and Vikings. How do you think that's going to look?
It's fine, Vikings. Lions will probably be last, but hopefully not. But more than likely. Packers will probably be first. And then you said the Vikings and who else?
Vikings, yeah, that's exactly where I'm at because it's I've got Packers at the top and Lions at the bottom, but then it's like, do you have Chicago or Minnesota?
Vikings or Bears? Which one do you think is it going to be there? And
Kirk Cousins always has them on the verge of
it's probably more than likely
spot.
I would go Bears. I'd probably go Packers, Bears, Vikings.
Yeah. Chicago has more.
Yeah.
I feel like Chicago has more overall talent defensively. And maybe even more pieces offensively.
Chicago does than Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would agree. They seem like they're maybe a little better overall than Minnesota, and they have
Minnesota
Fields.
Does have Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen.
And
Justin Jefferson. So
it's true, but they never seem to do anything. They're never that great. So it's like
maybe it's Kirk Cousins. Maybe he's limiting the offense.
Oh, and they got Kirk Cousins, man.
Yeah.
Why they should? I feel like he's not great, but I feel like they should be better.
Yeah.
Than it's like why don't yeah.
He's usually playing them into like an 8-8, 9-7 season.
Yeah.
Typical Kirk Cousins ball.
The Packers will probably definitely be the top.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine
Aaron. What would your guess be?
Yeah, I think the Packers are going to be top team in the division again because they're obviously Aaron's coming off an MVP season. I think he's going to be playing just as well. He's obviously not a guy that needs any preseason. I think he's going to come
Yeah,
back and light it up. I would probably put the Bears second, Vikings third. I think they'll only be separated by maybe a game or two, and then
right. I agree.
the re
They could really flip. It
yeah
could be
yeah
really either one there.
exactly, and then the rebuilding Lions probably. I think it'll take Dan Campbell. I think he'll do good things, but I think it's going to take him a couple seasons to build a new culture. Because
Yeah,
just because they've been, like I was telling you earlier, it's like you gotta cut away the fat of like 17 or 20, however 25 straight
it's like
losing
Washington.
years.
It's
Yeah,
like Washington.
you gotta
Same kind of thing.
establish.
We had a terrible season rebuilding, and then we lost the quarterback we were trying to rebuild with, and get a new we got the new coach and the new name and all of that. And it's like
Yeah,
it takes time. Last season wasn't great, but it was okay. It was good in ways, and it looks like it's getting a lot better. And that takes years. It doesn't happen in one season
yeah,
usually.
it's not an overnight thing for sure. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. And then the last NFC division is
The
the
payoff.
NFC South. Yeah, which is of course the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Gronkaneers.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons. Um, oh geez, why is that? Why is that drawing a blank? The Carolina Panthers, of course, and the Saints. I always forget the Saints now that Drew Brees
I'm
retired.
bad with remembering the
Yeah.
divisions. Like I'm better with the NFC. The AFC, I'm not good at remembering at all. Like I know the NFC somewhat, but
I'll I'll help you out on
so
that one.
yeah, yeah, Tampa's definitely getting that one. That's an obvious
Yeah,
one right there.
I
So
would say Tampa takes that. I mean, Atlanta's got a new head coach. Carolina has a second year head coach with Matt Rule. He's the guy that took over for Ron. And
mhm.
even though he's in the second year, Sam Darnold's in his first year, so they're running out a new quarterback. But Sam Darnold looked real good in the preseason, so we'll see what happens. But I think that the Saints are a question mark. It does look like they're going to go
Yeah,
with Jameis Winston over Taysom Hill. There was a quarterback competition. It looks like Jameis
mhm.
officially won that, so they'll probably still use Taysom Hill for his Taysom Hill packages and stuff. But
Yeah.
um, Jameis Winston, I mean, he's a guy that former number one overall pick, who's done some good things in the NFL. He's also thrown a lot of picks.
31-31.
Yeah, exactly. So you're in a division where the Buccaneers have a pretty good defense, the Panthers have a pretty good defense. So I mean, it's not a good division to throw a lot of picks in. But
No, probably not.
probably, yeah, I'd agree. I think Tampa's going to probably take that one. I mean, it's hard to bet against Tom Brady. Probably
Yeah,
Carolina finishes second.
that's what I was
Um,
thinking too. Carolina second.
yeah, I think the Saints will be third, and then I think the Falcons, who are kind of in a rebuild process, finish fourth. Matt Ryan's
Yeah,
getting rid.
I would agree with that. That seems like a little more straightforward to where they're at.
Yeah.
Seems a little more predictable. I mean, but you never know. Football's, anything can happen.
Although they do have Kyle Pitts, the tight end phenomenon. I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah, I do. I forgot that they picked him up.
Yeah.
I do want to see some of his.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit there and watch the Falcons games, but I'm gonna look up the
Yeah.
highlights at least.
Well, I mean, you have the access.
Actually, yeah. Now
You have, yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot about that with
Put
the
it on.
Game Pass.
Put it on film. Put it on film. Yeah. And then for the AFC West, which is Kansas City, um, Las Vegas. Almost said Oakland again. Um, Los Angeles Chargers, and then the Denver Broncos. So
So we already know the first one. So let's just do two,
yeah,
3, and 4.
yeah. So yeah, I think Kansas City and Mahomes take that one for
Yeah.
the third or fourth straight season under Andy Reid. Andy Reid's been dominating that division for a few years now. I think that John Gruden probably gets the Raiders into second. Last year they
You
actually
think they're
beat
gonna
the.
get second? Really?
I well, yeah, eh, that's true because the Chargers could get second with Justin Herbert. He could look good in the second
Yeah,
year.
that's what I'm thinking. And
Yeah,
Washington's got to play that week 1.
yeah. Yeah, Justin Herbert looked. He set every rookie record last year in touchdown passes, just about
Jesus,
everything,
yeah. Oof.
passing yards. Um,
Yeah.
he is going into a new offense though, year two. Not that he'll probably struggle. He'll probably pick it up just fine. But yeah, I think they'll probably be second or Them or Oakland will be second. Like it's gonna go Kansas City.
You mean Vegas? You mean Vegas, not Oakland?
I do it once an episode and call them Oakland. Yeah, but Vegas, yes.
Yeah, Kansas City, the Chargers, Oakland, Vegas. No.
Yeah.
Vegas, and then
Raiders and then
the last one.
The Broncos. Yeah.
So I just had in my head and I forgot Broncos. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Broncos just named. They picked a starter. I don't know if you heard that yet.
Was it Bridgewater? Did they pick Teddy?
They went with Theodore Bridgewater over Drew Lock.
Yeah.
So Teddy's going to be the starter. So which I like. I mean Teddy's got a lot of experience in the league, and I mean you've given Drew Lock last couple seasons, and done some good things, but it hasn't really materialized to wins. And
yeah.
At this point, Vic Fangio, the Broncos coach, is going into year 3, so he's in save your job mode right now. He's trying to save that job. So I think going with Teddy's a good move, but I just think that he's playing in a stacked division. They've got Von Miller on defense. They've got Jerry Jeudy. They've got Noah Fant at tight end. They've got good players. It's just they're in a damn good division. I'd say next to, it's funny that it's the West also, but next to the NFC West, I think the AFC West is the toughest division because all those teams could be pretty good. I mean, last year Oakland was 8-8. The Chargers could be good this year. Gruden's going into his 4th year.
The Broncos didn't do that good, did they, last year?
They were 6 and 10, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Something pretty bad. So.
But I could see them. I could see them being like a 7 or 8 win team this year. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But that's a tough division too. Then you've got the AFC South, which is the Titans.
Texans.
Yeah, exactly. Texans, Jaguars,
Titans.
Colts, and
Jaguars.
Titans. Yeah. So the Jaguars are coming off a 1-15 season. So
yeah, they're gonna probably be last.
Even if they exceed. So they could win 5 games and totally exceed expectations. It'd still finish dead last, with Trevor Lawrence, and that's to be expected. Usually,
the Titans are probably going to take that division, I would think.
Yeah, I'd say so. The Colts could take it as well if Carson Wentz and the defense plays good, and their running backs stay healthy. Marlon Mack last year, their main running back, got hurt down the stretch. Now they have Jordan Wilkins. And they have some other players that filled in nicely. But when they got to the playoffs, and they had Phillip Rivers too, which he's not the most mobile guy, they got knocked out in the first round. But the Colts are a solid team. They've built a good nucleus. I like what Frank Reich's done there. He's built a good team. So yeah, but I still think the Titans will finish first. Although they do currently have 9 players, including Coach Mike Vrabel on the COVID list, But that'll all be sorted out by the season.
Yeah, that'll be fine by the time week 1 comes. So
yeah. And then for the let's see, we got the West, the South, the AFC.
Oh, what's the order we're going for?
Okay.
Titans.
Titans, Colts, Texans,
Jaguars last, Texans
Jaguars.
Third.
Well, actually, you know what?
That would have been my guess.
I'll actually say, I'll actually go off on a limb here and say, just based off, we don't exactly know what's going to happen.
The Texans might be last. Is that where you're going?
The Texans might be last because we don't know if. Okay, so if.
You're right. That's a good point. And they lost J.J. Watt, right? Too.
Yeah. So if Deshaun plays,
doesn't play,
then they're probably third. Yeah. But if they don't and they have to start Tyrod Taylor or Davis Mills, then I think that they're that they finish last. Because who's going to
Trevor
be
Lawrence
the quarterback
in Jacksonville now.
Exactly. Who's going to be the quarterback in Jacksonville probably all 16 games barring injury. It's probably going to be Trevor, especially because they shipped away Gardner, which moves C.J. Beathard up to second. That's good.
Yeah,
for
right.
CJ. I've always liked C.J. He's a cool guy, but yeah, so good advancement for him. But yeah, I mean, I could see that, but I think that it's going to be Titans, Colts at the top, and then more than likely Texans, then Jaguars. But
if Watson plays,
if Watson plays, absolutely.
Texans are third for sure. But then if he doesn't play, that's kind of up in the air because if Trevor Lawrence can actually do something for the Jaguars, give them maybe at least 3, 4, 5 wins.
Yeah.
Well, it might take more than that. Well, if they don't have Watson, Texans could have
the 0-16.
They have a pretty bad season. So yeah,
it's rough. And then the next division is so that's the South. Then we've got the East, which is of course Patriots, Bills, Jets, and Miami. I always forget Miami because they're not located by any
Yeah,
of those
that
teams at all.
doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense. That's
yeah.
why I have a hard time remembering them. It's
Well,
like they
it's
don't
on the
really
East
make.
Coast, so I guess that's why
Yeah,
because it's the East. But I mean, the Bills made it all the way to the AFC Championship, barely lost to Kansas City last year. So I think that the Bills finish first.
yep, I would agree with that one for sure.
I think that the Patriots have a good chance to finish second, just based off of the other teams there. Although Miami
Wait, this
was
is
on
the
the
AFC
verge.
West or North? You said
This is the East, the AFC East.
East or East. Okay,
Yeah,
that's why I was confused. I was like, what?
yeah.
I don't know the AFC like at all. I was if someone was to ask me like name the AFC teams in each division, I'd probably get like two right in each, maybe like if that.
It's all good, no worries. But yeah, I think that it'll be probably the Bills, Patriots, um, Dolphins, and then probably the Jets, probably last. But I'm hoping that the Jets do well for Salah's sake. But I think it might take
Who's
a
the
season
Dolphins
or two.
quarterback? Is it
It's Tua. It's
Tagovailoa?
Tua.
Tua?
Yeah, Tua. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's gonna be probably Bills. You said well Patriots. I don't know because Patriots and Jets both have the rookie quarterbacks, but they're not starting them most likely, right? It's gonna be
Zach
Cam
Wilson's gonna
and
start.
Zach Wilson is starting.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, and
Cam
then they
is
got
projected to
Salah.
start week one.
If the Patriots don't do well again, I could see the Jets possibly maybe not being last. With new coach and they got a new quarterback, they could. You never know. I mean, not going to be as bad as last year, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they only won one game last year, so they've definitely got to improve from there. Absolutely.
yeah. But the Dolphins, I think, based on off of last year, I think they could be second. I would go Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets.
Okay. Fair enough. That works. And then who did we miss? So we got the South, the East,
AFC
the
North.
North.
I
Yeah,
mean,
the AFC North. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? Like
I know the Ravens, Browns,
this
and
might
Steelers.
actually. Yeah, I said the AFC West might be the second hardest division. Actually, it might be the AFC North because this division has
Yeah,
Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, who did real well, and then the Bengals, who were a bad team last
the
year.
Bengals.
But you've got Joe Burrow coming back for his second season, and
Mm-hmm.
Zach Taylor, the coach, is in his third year. So they're keeping some continuity. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
this one's a little tough to predict. I mean, the Steelers because they did so well last year. I don't think that they're going to do that well this year, but
Starting
there's
11-0.
obviously, yeah, they're obviously a good team and they're going to have a good season. But the Ravens, Browns, Steelers, all three of them really could fight for the number one spot in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's really hard to pick, which one you. I mean, I would like to see the Ravens win it if I have to pick one, but it's
yeah.
like it's hard to pick on that.
That's a tough division as well because either way, I see Pittsburgh and Baltimore both going to the playoffs. I think they're both playoff teams, and
Yeah,
even Cleveland could be there. I mean, Baker
even
had them
Cleveland.
in
Yep.
position, and I mean, they've the
I'd probably
thing.
go Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals.
Yeah, yeah. I could see that. I think that the biggest thing for the Steelers is obviously if Ben stays healthy. They're a completely different
Mm-hmm.
team if Roethlisberger's healthy versus if he's not.
Well, so
Um,
are the Ravens.
well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So are the Browns, man. I mean, so are most teams, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Although the Ravens, as you saw from the game, have Tyler Huntley, who can at least do a
Yeah,
lot of the same things that Lamar can do. So if
that's
Lamar
true.
went
He
down,
did play well.
you've got a guy that can play the exact. So it's not like if the Cardinals lose Kyler Murray and then you have to put Colt McCoy in the game. It's
That's
like
true. Yeah,
you're
that's a good
playing with a
point.
guy that basically can do all the same things. He's not as fast as Lamar. He's not as talented. That's why
But
he's
he
your
is
second string guy. But
right.
you don't have to change the offense.
And the
The Ravens
Steelers
are
have Haskins back there, so they don't want to lose Ben.
yeah, and I don't know if Tomlin's announced whether Mason Rudolph or Haskins is the number two yet, but
Oh, that's true. There's always Mason Rudolph. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
not sure if they have, but
yeah, that'll be interesting to find out. But Yeah, I mean they got Devin Bush back, one of their top linebackers who tore his ACL last year, so their defense should be pretty good. So yeah, probably going to be Ravens, Steelers, um, Browns, Bengals. I would say on that one to wrap up the divisional predictions.
All right, Redskins fans, it's time for this week's Redskins Rundown. Going to be covering the preseason game from last week, mostly because the recent game was, there wasn't a whole lot to mention, and we haven't covered the last week's game. So that game was pretty good against the Bengals. We won that game, which was great, but it started out really, really good. The defense stifled the Bengals, the 2 3-and-outs right off the bat. Unfortunately, a fumble led to the Bengals' first field goal near the end of the first quarter, but still really good. The defense was just the whole game. They were very good. Gibson started out really good. He had some strong runs up the middle, which is kind of a change from the way he usually plays. He's more of a on the outside runner. Doesn't usually do those up the middle runs. So it was nice to see something different from him. And he also caught a nice 14-yard screen pass from Pitts. Diami Brown had a beautiful catch on his back shoulder from Pitts. That was very nice. It was for 29 yards. Pitts did look pretty good, but he did miss 2 potential touchdown passes. He overthrew Adam Humphries in the end zone, but Adam Humphries is also like 5'8" probably, something like that. Yeah. So like I'm thinking Pitts is thinking like it's like if the tight ends that he likes to throw to, like if Logan Thomas was there and he threw it to Logan Thomas, that shit would have been caught.
Come down with that.
Yeah, but with Humphries it was just over his head, but he had the chance to get the touchdown there. It was just a little high, but Hopkins did have a significantly better game than he's had. He hit all of his field goals.
Nice.
He hit a 34-yarder to tie the game in the beginning. There was Dax Milnout returning punts, so I think there's a good chance we see him on the team as maybe as a punt returner in the season.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But I could see that, especially since they let Steven Sims go. I could definitely.
Right, that's what I was thinking, because with him no longer there, it's like, he did pretty well.
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty good too. Yeah, he was one of the guys that stood out, and he also looked pretty good catching the ball too in the couple preseason games. He had some nice catches.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he'll be. I think he'll be the 4th wide receiver, most likely, or 5th.
Yeah, they'll probably keep 5 or 6. Usually teams keep about 5 or 6 of them.
Like the 4 main ones and 2 guys that are on special teams.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's those last 2 guys you really rely on to play a lot of special teams, either as your return guys or like gunners that are running down and making the tackles on coverage.
So after the first quarter of all the starters, Heineke came in shortly after the second quarter began, and he came in. I know he comes in and just running like a bat out of hell, and like he actually slid down like a pro. I was like, look at him, like
looking great.
I got really excited about that. Like, unfortunately after the two first decent plays, or I think it was the run that was good, and then I thought it was 2 good plays. But yeah, he fumbles the ball on 3rd and 5.
That was unfortunate
because he was trying to climb the pocket with the ball in one hand. Like, that is not the time to carry the ball in one hand. Like,
ball security 101.
Yeah. So, and it's it's a preseason game, so that's fine. He learned something. Like, and there was an interview after the game where he's like, yeah, I gotta work on the ball security aspect. Like, they're gonna be pounding that into me after that. So that's great. I'm kind of glad it happened. It's like, now he's not gonna make that mistake in the regular season.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of mistake that if you're gonna make it, it's better to make in the preseason than in a game that matters for your record. Yeah. So absolutely.
Yeah. The only time you want to carry the ball like that is like, one, you got to be like fast enough, like Lamar Jackson, like if he was to do it maybe like at times, but it's so dangerous. It's like situational, if you're like on the sidelines and you're like, you know what I mean? Like you just don't want to carry the ball like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then Taylor's quick, but he's not Lamar Jackson quick. He needs to
he's not that quick. But I was really happy to see that he learned how to slide correctly. It was beautiful. I was like, nice, there we go. Protect yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, and after that, sometime after, Landon Collins lands a huge hit right when Jason Wright was actually talking. And he was like, I really appreciate what Ron's created here in such a short time. And I know Landon Collins has been there for like a little while, but it was just a really ironic timing to see it. It was a just smacked him. I forgot who he hit, but it was a nice play.
Yeah, I think I remember that. It was like on that pass breakup, right? When they were targeting the
Yep.
receiver, and yeah, okay.
And he just comes flying in and just
Yeah, just
nails him. Like,
lays him out. Yeah, that's what Landon Collins brings. That's why, everybody wants Cam Curl, and Cam Curl is playing. I think in that game, like they were
yeah.
projected to start like at free safety and strong safety respectively. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but they also have Bobby McCain, Bobby McCain that they got from Miami.
Right.
So they've got three good
The new,
safeties.
yeah.
Yeah, they've got three real good. It's a good problem to have. Again, depth.
Yep.
Depth.
And we'll need it because the linebacker position still is the least like sure. So to have good safeties there, as we have the good front four, but they also have that. It's like, it's better better than having two holes, I guess. You got,
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm not saying the linebackers as a whole either. I mean,
yeah.
we've definitely improved and we have the ability to improve.
And secondary was improved too with William Jackson the third.
William Jackson the third. That's gonna be the best for that.
Put him right opposite Fuller.
Yep. So Heineke had a good game, but also he did make some mistakes. But he ran for a couple first downs, which is always fun to see the quarterbacks running, and it's just there's just something about it. But
exciting.
He played with a lot more second stringers, so always keep that in mind. Like he looked good, but he did make mistakes. But like he looked good, and he's playing with second stringers and he looked that good. It's like, well, I guess the defense is also second stringers, but I don't know. We saw how he looked in that Tampa game, and I think he has the ability, especially now with he's gained weight. He's got even more coaching. Exactly. Yeah. That was huge. And now he's got coaching. He put on weight. He knows how to protect himself. Like, I know that's why a lot of people want him to start over Fitz. And like, I'm not necessarily in that camp, but I'd be totally okay with it if he did.
I think you got to support the guy that's out there. I mean, you got to trust Ron. I mean, that's how I feel with Kyle. I trust Kyle. If Kyle says, Jimmy's the guy, then I trust Kyle to make that decision. Kyle knows a lot more about the game of football than I do. That's for damn sure. Like, so I was like, okay, coach, that's your call, and I respect it.
You're talking about Kyle Shanahan because you're the same Kyle.
I talked to him like we're close personal friends. But yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean,
it works with Ron because we're talking about Washington, but you
yeah. So anyway, you gotta I think you gotta support the guy that's out there, whoever your coach decides to put out there.
And I do. I'm fine with Fitz starting. I like I said, I'm not like wanting Heineke to start necessarily over him. It's just like if that was to happen, I'd be cool with it either way.
Right.
Either one of them. Like I'm fine with that.
Both
like
can put the team in position to win for sure.
And that's a good thing to have, to be like comfortable with. I mean, that's also because Fitz isn't like amazing, so like that's probably why they might be comparable. Like I don't know, but I'm happy with the situation.
Yeah, definitely.
And so the next big news out of that game was definitely Jarrett Patterson. He came out and right off the bat picks up 14 right up the middle, or on his second play, right up the middle. In the third quarter, he had numerous runs that just showed really good instincts for running the ball. Like not just like one or two big plays. It was just the way he moved, the way he read things. Like he just seemed to have a good understanding. I mean, I will say though, since the last game has happened, he did struggle against the Ravens, but the Ravens also played their starters against our third stringers. So like that's kind of not that surprising. Like I think he's still going to make the team because of that performance. I think that showed, at least in my opinion, I would hope it would show Ron and the coaching staff like that there's just something there with him, like his ability, and I think it's worth keeping him on the team to explore that. Maybe he struggled against a first string Ravens defense, but like come on.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I mean, I think that he did enough over the first two games that that third preseason game. And the Ravens were doing something unheard of. They were playing to win a preseason.
Yeah, they really were.
Who does that? Who does that? John Harbaugh got his 20th preseason win in a row, and I was like, and that's great. And I was like, and what's that going to get you, Coach? What's that going to get you?
Yeah, and he did push his way down the field towards the end of the fourth quarter, or middle of the fourth quarter, for a touchdown. So he had numerous good runs during that drive, but he ended up getting it for a touchdown. And in the first half, I think this is the best stat. Like the first half, the Bengals only had one first down. Or I think it might actually be two in the stats because I think they got one right before the quarter ended, like right before the half.
Okay.
But like really, it's like they got one. I mean, you know,
probably against like a cover 3 or like a prevent defense, like right before.
Right. Yeah. That's why I was like, you know what, man? No, they got one real first down,
Yeah.
and that was really it. Like,
wow.
But yeah, that was a good game against the Bengals. I mean, obviously it was an easier team, I guess, but I think it was a better matchup in terms of the Bengals didn't. Did they have all their starters out? They didn't have Joe Burrow though. But
yeah, they
I can't remember.
I don't think they played a ton of. So they who was it that mostly played? They played some
it's
of their
fine.
guys.
I mean, it's hard to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's probably what Washington did the same thing. I don't think Washington played all their starters in any game like all at once. Like.
Yeah.
But,
I think they just kind of situationally played guys in different games. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the big picture is it is just a preseason. You know, this game was good. The Ravens game was awful, but you know, like you said, the Ravens were like really. It seemed like they were playing to win. They were doing something kind of unusual. Like when I saw Lamar Jackson come out at the beginning, I'm like, all right. Like I mean, I like watching him play, but
he didn't play in the first 2 games, so it was really random.
Yeah, so that was really surprising. I was like, what is happening here?
John Harbaugh.
Like I see. Lamar comes out, and then when Washington gets the ball, I see Kyle Allen come out, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, and
I knew it was going to be a shit show right away. I was like, oh, this game's going to suck.
And Lamar took 2 sacks by the Redskins.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh got him the hell out of
which
there.
Is
after
awesome.
One series.
Which is so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they stomped us, whatever, fine. But yeah, he took the 2 sacks, which was great.
Yeah.
And that's not even. It wasn't even the first team end. So like, yeah, that's nice.
I want to say they held him to a field goal. Yeah, it was I thought of his name. Jake Verity is the kicker. It always comes back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jake Verity field goal. So you guys held the Ravens' first team offense to 3 points with the second.
That's literally the only like notable thing that happened though in that game are those 2 sacks. Like other than that, it was just.
Tim Settle played the whole game.
Not good.
I think Tim Settle, they said, played the entire game, which is badass.
That's good. He gave him the well, he played all last season though, but yeah.
Get that big man in shape. I mean, I'm sure he's already like to be able to go all those plays. That big man's already in shape.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Ravens game, it is what it is. But I'm happy there was no injuries. But obviously, we didn't really play any starters. But even none of the backups got hurt. I don't think there was any injuries. So that's a win in my book. It's 37-3, and they're like, who won? It's like, well, I mean, you know, you don't necessarily have to mean the score. You know, who won? Like the Ravens, their star running back got injured probably for the season.
It is.
J.K. Dobbins,
out for the season.
Yeah, that's horrible to happen.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got your 20 preseason win bullshit record. Congratulations. Your star running back is now hurt all season.
Dude, that's what I said to you earlier. I was like, if John Harbaugh was less focused on the 20 preseason games and more on the regular season, he'd probably have a Super Bowl. Like, I mean,
that was like that's for them. Like, I mean, I don't really wish injury on anyone, but like the Ravens, I like to watch the Ravens.
And the Ravens, honestly, they still have Lamar. They still have Gus Edwards. They still have a lot of other good running backs. They're going to be fine. But now he was going to be their top one, you know. So like
that is unfortunate for them. And then them being AFC, like I like to watch their games. And like if you know it's not Redskins or the Niners, like I usually I'll go for them. Lamar's fun to watch, and you know they're from Baltimore, which is also Maryland. So it's like you know it's one of those teams where you know I've always like you know half liked them somewhat, where it's like you know. But that's unfortunate for them.
It is.
But yeah, with the preseason ending, we definitely look forward to week 1 and seeing some real games with the full roster of all the players that we know and love and recognize, and like you know want to really want to see how they're doing.
The final.
Because the preseason. Yep, the final 53 which we're gonna find that out here in the next probably tomorrow, honestly, Monday, maybe Tuesday, everything to come out. But yeah, we'll find out who's making the team, which it's mostly figured out, I feel like, but there's a couple positions there that we got to figure out the backup spots. So especially for those rookies. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, week 1, man, I can't. I mean, the preseason was great because like we didn't have football for so long, and it's like, all right, football. But then by the fourth quarter in every one of those games, I kind of got bored, man. I was like, all right, I'm kind of over this, like, because
Yeah.
it just gets to a point where, I mean, I still watched it, and because I did want to see how the backups did, but you know what I mean? It's not the same. You know, it's like the game, the way it plays out is very different. It's not,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
your team the whole time. It's like this
Yeah.
it changes this whole. It's a very different feel to
Well,
it. So I can see why
in the
some people
regular
don't watch it.
yeah, in the regular season, your team's not running the football in the fourth quarter if they're down. They've got urgency and they're trying to come back and win. But in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
preseason, you're just trying to run certain plays to look at certain guys. So you could be
right.
down like 20 points and
Yeah,
you're running the football in
yeah,
the fourth quarter.
37-3. It doesn't matter, dude.
Yeah,
Like
it
they
doesn't
like that's
doesn't matter.
they probably I think they were doing that. They were just
Yeah,
calling whatever
yeah,
just to call plays or
yeah.
it's like that's and that's
They weren't
fine.
throwing a lot with Montez in the second half. They were mostly running.
That's true. They weren't. They were running the read options with him.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yep. So yep. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, but week one can't come soon enough. I think it's what like 15 days or so. It's September 12th.
Yeah.
Or no,
Yeah.
that's only it's like maybe 13 or 14 days.
Yeah. That's
No, it's the 29th actually. So whatever. September 12th. That's the first Redskins game at least. So I'm sure. I think there's another probably a different game before that. I'm not sure what day of the week that is.
14 days, and I think the first game's the 9th. It's
Nice.
Dallas
Okay.
and Kansas City, maybe. Does that sound
Man,
right?
Dallas gets the first game. They had that Hall of Fame game too.
Yeah.
What?
Well, yeah.
All right, we're gonna stomp Dallas again this year and sweep them just like last year.
Probably.
All right, well,
Probably actually.
we'll be back with another Redskins rundown. Probably, we might have an update for the roster update just to see who made it. There's something short, but then
Yeah.
when this week one starts, definitely be back with an episode to cover all of that because that is what we've all been waiting for. So.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, faithful? Thanks for joining us on the weekly Niners news update. Today we're going to be talking about the most recent preseason game that we had against the San Diego Los Angeles Chargers, in which we did pick up the 15-10 win. Always good to win, even though it's a preseason game and it doesn't really mean anything. Always good to watch the Niners get the win. A lot of players really looked pretty good today. First and foremost, the one that sticks out is at one point when Easton Stick, who was starting at quarterback for the Chargers, was kind of like rolling out to his right. Eric Armstead gave him good pursuit and actually had a lot of good speed on the play, kind of chased him down and made a big sack as he was about to take it up for a. He was just about to get a positive gain. He sacked him for like a loss of I think it was about 2 yards, but he'd rolled out pretty deep, and then like Armstead like kind of pursued him all the way around and got a really nice sack on him, which was huge.
Nice.
And then the following play, which was a third down play, Easton Stick was looking across the middle for his receiver, and Diamador Lenore.
Diamador Lenoir.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
isn't it? Is it Lenoir? No, it's Lenore. It's Lenore.
Yeah.
It is. It looks like it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you just want to call it Lenoir.
Lenoir.
Yeah,
It just
Lenoir.
looks like it.
But yeah, Diamador Lenore made a nice drive-ending play when he broke up the pass, and to that point, he hasn't allowed a completion on him all season. The Niners started him for the second consecutive game. Kyle decided to start him and Ambry Thomas, our two rookie corners, in both the preseason games, and both of them have looked pretty good for the most part. On the offensive side, Jimmy started the game. He played one series, which was a long 15-play drive. He looked pretty good for the most part, but he did do some things. Namely, he had a couple high passes, which I'm sure he would have liked to have back. His best passing play was a 9-yard completion. 9-yard completion to Juice on the outside, which picked up a first down. His best play on the game though had to have been on a third down I think it was actually a second down scramble where he ran for 10 yards and basically
Is that where he slid? Did he slide at the end of it?
he juked the guy at first. He juked the guy and put a move on him, and then he slid. Yeah, but he gained 10 yards and picked up the first down. and it's
I remember
honestly
that
the
was a nice
most
one.
elusive that I've seen him look in years. So it
Yeah,
definitely looks like his ankle's back at full strength, which
yeah,
is
and that's
great to see.
very important and
Yeah,
great. Like we don't need that ankle getting hurt again.
yeah, it was kind of nerve wracking to see him run. Like it was as exciting as it was. It was like, oh shit, get down. I was like, this
The
is
juke is what made me the most nervous when he
yeah,
didn't just
yeah,
like when he
potentially like
tried.
putting weight on his ankle or something.
Yeah, I was like, no, dude, no. But then he slid down. I was like, thank
Yeah,
God. But
and
that
he
juke,
got
man, I
right
was like,
back up,
ugh.
and he looked excited.
Yes,
So
luckily.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was sweating bullets about that too. Um, I mean, they took it on a 15 play drive. They were getting towards the red zone, and then Jimmy was targeting Ayuk on a mid range pass, and like I said, he had a couple passes that were high on the day. Even some of the ones that were completed, were kind of like going up on the receivers. And
Hmm.
he hit Trey, or I'm sorry, hit Ayuk right in the hands. The ball bounced off his hands and right into the hands of Asante Samuel Jr. Um, so that wasn't good. So that
That was
ended,
an
yeah,
unfortunate bounce.
yeah, exactly, and that ended what was a pretty encouraging first drive by the Niners. Most of their first string guys, they didn't play everybody, but the majority of the ones that they did have in there came out after that one series. And early in the second quarter, they went to Trey Lance, and Trey targeted Mohamed Sanu across the middle, and the pass was also a little bit high, bounced off Mohamed Sanu's hands. And another issue that Trey's had is they were talking about it. Trey, I guess, has had the most dropped catchable balls in the NFL. It's like 7 at this point.
You
Um,
mean like during the preseason?
yeah, during the preseason, whereas
Oh
receivers
wow.
have dropped the
Well,
ball
that
now.
first game he had like 3 huge
Yeah,
drops.
yeah, he had 3, and then he had like 3 or 4 more in the second game, and then he had a few
Jeez.
more in tonight's game as well. So yeah, and he throws the ball with a lot of velocity, and you hope
Yeah.
that the receivers will just get more used to catching a ball like that. But I mean, he puts a lot of pop on the throw, and a lot of times the receivers aren't ready for it. And he
Yeah.
also had
He
one
might need
bounce
to tone it
off.
down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he had one bounce off Mohamed Sanu's hands and also got picked. So he, for the second straight week, started off a little bit inconsistent. He settled down and ended up going 8 of 14 for 102 yards. And he ended up throwing 2 touchdowns, one right before halftime on a really nice 2 minute drive to Mohamed Sanu. And then later in the third quarter, he hit Travis Benjamin and he set it up with a nice deep pass to go into Trent Sherfield again. He really likes
Trent
that.
Sherfield had a very good
Yeah,
preseason.
Trent Sherfield's been tearing it up. I mean, he's
Yeah,
absolutely made this team like 100%.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think he might even be. I mean, he's either the third or fourth receiver. I mean,
I would say so.
it's gonna be Ayuk, Debo, possibly Mohamed Sanu as the third, and then but it could also be
Sherfield.
Sherfield. But
Yeah,
it's either going to be him
I
or
agree.
Sanu, 3 or 4. And I think the Niners will keep 6 receivers. So you figure maybe Travis Benjamin, because Richie James just went down with a 6 week knee injury. He's expected to miss the first 6 weeks of the season, and that's why they re-signed.
That's unfortunate.
They cut River Craycroft and then they re-signed him like the next day because they needed him.
River Craycraft
Yeah,
is his actual name,
River
isn't it?
Craycraft is back. Yeah, what did, I called
There's
him
a
River.
street. There's these streets called River and
I
Craycroft.
called
So
him River.
for
Oh
us,
my God, I called him River.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
you call them
Well,
River Craycroft.
yeah,
But yeah,
okay. Well, yeah, that's an intersection here.
intersection in
But
Arizona.
yeah,
Where,
yeah,
yeah, in Arizona.
exactly. But yeah, River Craycraft. Yeah, exactly. The NFL player, not the intersection, is back, and he has the potential to play special teams and be a return guy. So we'll
First
see if
time I
he.
heard that name, man, I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what? What's
What's his
his
name?
name?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like even though that's on the quarterbacks to either take a little bit off the ball or like Jimmy to maybe lower the ball and even Trey on some of the passes to lower the ball and not throw it so high, put it up on your receivers so
Yeah,
much. Those receivers have to come up with the plays too. I mean, on both of those situations, even though they were high, the receivers did get their hands on both of them. So you got to make a better play on that, and that was something that Niners receivers have struggled with throughout the preseason. It was definitely better in tonight's game from what I saw. They didn't drop as many passes, but there were still some. Hopefully that is shored up by the 12th in the opener against Detroit. And the other thing that was notable that I thought was most interesting in the game is we like to run the ball, more often than we pass, and we played the game without our top four running backs. There was no Raheem Mostert, Mostert. Couldn't say that for a second. There we go. No Trey Sermon, no Elijah Mitchell, and obviously no Jeff Wilson because he's injured currently. So only two running backs played besides Juice, the fullback, if you count him. It was Wayne Gallman, former Giant, and JaMychal Hasty. And they split the reps pretty evenly. Gallman had 15 carries for 72. Hasty had 19 for 58. And for the second straight week, we demolished the Chargers
the
in
running
the
game.
running game. Yeah.
Well, not the Chargers for 2 weeks, but yeah, two games in a row with
Yeah, exactly.
way more run.
We outran the Chiefs. I want to say it was about 150 to 60 or something, and then we outran.
Yeah, it was almost 100 like this one.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So we
100
definitely.
difference.
Yeah. So it's good to see even in the preseason that the zone run scheme that we run so well is working even without our starting backs. And I think that Hasty played well enough between what he did last season for us when we were banged up and what he did in the preseason. I think he could make the roster at least if he doesn't make the 53, at least get on the practice squad.
Yeah, I agree.
And the defense managed to get 5 sacks on the day. The biggest for sure had to be a sack in the end zone of Easton Stick that resulted in a safety to put the Niners up 2-0. That was, and that forced a punt back to us, and like I mentioned, a 2-0 lead. Samson Ibukam, Eric Armstead, as I mentioned earlier, Kai Nakua, and Contavious Street all also got sacks. It was good to see Contavious Street get a sack. He's been a guy that's been on the Niners for the last couple seasons, and he finally started to get some playing time last year when we were banged up. He was actually the guy that put the hit on Breeze that put him out, Contavious Street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So kind of inadvertently ending Drew Brees' career. But yeah, Contavious Street got a sack in that game, so the Niners D got 5 sacks with our second team guys, so that was good to see. Good pressure. Talanoa Hufanga looked great again at safety. He broke through the line a couple times and hit the Chargers running back in the backfield. He's been starting a lot at safety, along with Clinton Dix, since we had been banged up at safety. But it looks like Jaquiski Tart is finally cleared as well. But he looks like he's going to be a good safety for us. He's a good player that can play right around the line of scrimmage, can probably play as like a sub linebacker or a safety. He's got good versatility, and he can play special teams as well. So I think that he's going to be a good player for us. All the guys we got in the secondary, I think, are good. Diamador is good. Ambry Thomas, I think, is going to be pretty good, and Talanoa Hufanga. I think the 3 guys we got.
I guess they're calling that guy Demo. I think for short.
Demo, yeah.
Demo. That's what the announcers are saying.
Yeah. I'll probably just call him that because it's easier than saying Diamador.
Yeah, it's easier. I like saying the
but not nearly as fun.
Lenoir, but it's not as fun. But yeah, it's quicker.
Yeah, and then later the Chargers made the switch to Chase Daniel, who's a 10-year veteran backup, and he got picked off by Jared Maiden, who's a corner trying to make the team. He would have returned it for a pick 6, but there was a holding penalty, and that was probably the number 1 drawback. I mean, we got the 15-10 win, but we had I think it was 12 penalties. The Chargers I think had about 12 themselves. It was just a sloppy performance, and we definitely
didn't realize that.
Looked to get that cleaned up. But yeah, it really slowed the pace of the game down a lot. I think the game could have been a lot more high scoring had it not been for that.
Yeah, Definitely.
Penalties always slow you down
Yeah,
and kind of stall
absolutely.
drives out. But we did get 2 Trey Lance touchdown passes and a safety. But Robbie missed an extra point for the
Yeah,
second
that was
straight week.
unfortunate.
That
It's
was a
like,
bummer.
what the fuck? What's
Yeah,
going on, Robbie?
yeah. Robbie's hopefully get it out of your system in the preseason, Robbie. We need you. Um, but yeah, so also Nate Sudfeld made his 49ers preseason debut. Much anticipated. He's the guy that we got rid of Josh Rosen for to assumingly be our third quarterback if we keep 3. Otherwise, it'll just be Jimmy and Trey Lance. But Sudfeld, he did some all right things, but he did have a fumble that he lost in the exchange with his center, which you can't have that. That's a sloppy play. But
Yeah,
passing wise, he was 3 out of 5 for 24 yards. Um, but yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting to see if when they do the cut downs to the 53 man, if Sudfeld is brought back because like I said, I mean Rosen was expected to be maybe the third string guy, but we released him. So if we keep a third stringer, it's going to be Sudfeld. So we'll see what happens there.
yeah,
And last guy I was going to talk about, well, I mentioned him a little bit earlier, was James Jr. He had a 3-yard punt return in the fourth quarter. However, it was revealed after the game that he's got a knee injury and he'll be out the next 6 weeks. The Niners waived him, which basically means that if he clears waivers, he'll default to the 49ers injured reserve, which they can bring a few players back from injured reserve. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe they try to bring him back at some point. But if not, unfortunately, Richie's season looks like it could be over before it even began, which is unfortunate because
that's always unfortunate.
yeah, and he had his best season as a receiver. He's always been a good return guy, but he had his best season as a receiver last year when we were, the game that really comes
Yeah,
to mind is against the Packers when, we had like 3. It was him, it was River Craycraft, and it was like Kevin White. We had like 3 receivers up the whole game, and he was the one that pretty much handled the bulk of the work. But yeah, it's unfortunate to see anytime there's an injury. But yeah, that's all we've got for this week's Niner news update. Join us next week as we cover the cut down to the final 53-man roster. Thank you for everybody for joining us today. And thanks for joining us on the Extra Point Show this week. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. And join us next week when we bring you the cut downs to the final 53-man roster. We'll cover other teams and, notable players that they cut and maybe where some players end up. But we'll cover that next week. And thanks for joining us. You guys have a good night.
have a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.